All right, so I wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about quality of light. Quality of light, maybe you've heard that term before. We're not talking about good quality or bad quality. That is, that's not what quality of light actually means. Quality of light typically runs the gamut from being hard light, which means it's a small light source. It produces very hard-edged shadows, right? Think of a flashlight shining on somebody. All the way to soft light, which is big soft boxes. It's a big light source, and the shadows that come off of it or come off your subject will be soft because the light is wrapping around the person, and there's definitely no good or bad. It's hard or soft, and there's different situations when you're going to want to use different quality of light. If I just fire this up and I go ahead and use this on the light stand, it's going to give me a hard light, right? Unless I put a reflector or a softbox or something in front of it, it's going to be pretty hard light. And we can definitely do that. I use that all the time to light backgrounds or to light certain parts of a photo. Not all the time necessarily for a person, although that could happen. You could just use hard light on a person. I typically like to use softer light with a softbox on it when I light a person, and then use these ones as hard light to light backgrounds or to do a rim light behind them. But you'll find that there literally is a million different combinations of using these when you're dealing with hard light and soft light. But for those occasions when you actually want to use soft light, we actually shipped you guys or gave out to you guys these. This is a Godox softbox that we have. If we go ahead and unbox it, you can see it's got different components. It's got a bracket that's actually going to hold our flash in here. Let's go ahead and see how we get that set up in there. We're going to go ahead and just stick this in here like this. Make sure the flash unit is facing into it like this. And once we get it partway in there, we can go ahead and just use this thumb screw and we'll go ahead and tighten it down. And that's kind of the way that it works. I don't typically do it in this order. I just wanted to show you kind of how the operation is and how it actually works. Typically, I'm going to put the softbox on here and get this mounted onto a light stand before I put the flash into it. So let's go ahead and do that part of it. All right, once we have our bracket here, we're going to go ahead and take our softbox out of the package. We'll get it set up for you guys. It's a little bit tricky sometimes to get these folded back up, so kind of look how this thing actually is and how it's set. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to step back just a little bit, and it should spring open just like that, right? So what this looks like when it's unfolded is basically a giant box, right? A giant soft box. We're going to put some pieces in there that will help spread out that light just a little bit more. They're almost like little scrims that will Velcro in there. It'll help us get the kind of light that we want out of it because the light will spread all the way to the edge of this. But before I actually end up doing that, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to fold this back up again because many of you have had problems with this in the past, and I know it can be a total struggle. So we're going to go ahead and get it flattened again, just like that, and then we're going to fold it up. And now the way that I like to do this is grab one of the top corners like this, and it's okay if you put it on your leg, the other corner, but I'm going to fold this in. Watch my hand. It's going to go down, and then it's going to go up. And it's going to force this thing to actually fold back in on itself. So it can be a total pain to get folded back up into this. Don't break it. If you can't get it, then ship it back or bring it back to the college without actually having to have broken it, because it has metal in here. And once you bend the metal the wrong way, then we can never fold it back up again. So let's try this again. Fold one corner down. See if I can get the other one to actually fold up into it and around. like that, and then it can go back into this bag when you're done. Right? And then it can be zipped back up and it can be transported. So before we actually do that, though, we want to get it working, so I'm going to open this back up again. All right, so once we got it to this point, we're going to go ahead and unfold it. Get it unfolded. Got a plastic bag. Yours may not be in a plastic bag depending on if it's been used or not before. We're going to go ahead and open this up. You'll notice we got 2 pieces of white fabric in here. So we're going to go ahead and open these. You can discard the plastic bags. We don't need to keep those for anything. But what we do want to do is take a look at this, and you'll see about 2/3 away from the center hole there are little elastic bands. There's 4 of them. And we're going to put this little panel in there because it'll help distribute that light to give us a better quality of light, or not a better quality of light, but a larger light source, as it will help distribute the light and light the entire panel. So they just slide on like that. And once you put these in here for this little internal baffle, you don't need to take it back out again. You can fold it back up when you go from session to session with it in there, I believe. Okay, so right there, we're halfway there. We've got the internal baffle put in. You can see how it is. There's a little bit of space around there. It doesn't cover the entire part of it. Next part is we're going to go ahead and take this larger piece, and it's got Velcro that goes all the way around it. The scratchy side of the Velcro in this case is actually on the white piece, the panel, the baffle here. But we're just going to try to get it lined up. Right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to try to cover the entire area, and we're just going to stick it on here. Just like that, and we're going to go all the way around. We're going to stick it all the way up here. And just go around and get that stuck on there. Last corner, we'll get it on there. So if you have areas where there's a big gap in here, like this, and it doesn't attach to it, the light's going to escape out of there, and you're going to see it in your photos. There'll be a brighter spot. So I want to take a few minutes just to go around and make sure that they actually are all lit, or all closed all the way around, because you'll get better results that way. Okay, once we got that panel in there, then we're going to go ahead and look at the back. You can see now we've got a giant hole there. This does not work quite like that. We actually have one more step that we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and actually flip this over. And you're just going to take this and force it in here. Let me turn it just a little bit. Maybe it's better if I do it this way. It's hard to do holding. I would definitely put it on something. There we go. So now you can see that that actually holds its own weight, just like that. Easy to assemble and pretty effective. Now there's many different other brands out there and ways of doing this. This is just this particular one for Godox and how it actually works. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this flash. I'm going to make sure that the right side, the flash head, is actually facing into the light box, the soft box. I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and crank this down. I'm going to get it all nice and tight. So now that I've got it set the right way, so I can actually see my controls on here if I need to, right? So now the next step is to actually take a light stand. In this case, I don't want to use that little light stand that I gave you guys. This little light stand, this little one right here, is not going to support that. The legs don't go out far enough to support the weight, as this thing is going to be blowing in the wind potentially, or even just the weight of the softbox itself. So don't use this softbox and this flash on this little light stand. We're going to go ahead and instead use our big one here. So we'll get this set up, get it just like this, and then you'll notice that there is a little bracket here on the edge, on the bottom, And we're just going to go ahead and open that up. It's going to go right over our light stand. Keep spinning until it goes all the way down and seats in there nicely. There we go. Make sure it goes all the way down. You see that it caught a couple times as it went down. It's not until it's seated when it's all the way down in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten it. Now, the cool thing about this is that it makes it quite a bit easier. You're just going to go ahead and spin this handle, and you'll be able to adjust this. All right, so you can point it down, you can point it up, but then you'll be able to actually go ahead and tighten this and get it positioned how you actually want it. If you want to turn it from side to side, I usually just loosen up one of these knobs, and then you'll be able to spin the whole thing towards your subject or away from your subject. If you don't want it straight up and down like this, you can go ahead and loosen this, and you'll be able to pop it down just a little bit. It's kind of a pain here. There we go, so you can get the angles right too, right? You don't want to just settle for the default as that's the way that it was sent to me and that's the way I didn't know how to adjust anything. You really are going to get better results from this as you figure out the equipment and be able to tweak it to each individual situation that you're using. So that's kind of how you set this whole thing up. You don't want to transport it all like this typically unless you really have to. I would go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and undo it, take it apart, because that's really what we all should be striving for. Is if you're going from one session to another, then we don't necessarily want to have to transport it in our car or a vehicle like this. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's secure. Pop this part of it off, kind of in reverse order. I'm going to drop this back down. Right, and then I'm going to go ahead and take this little red piece here. Your tripod or your light stand might be a little bit different. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this all the way back up. I'm going to tighten it. I'm going to go ahead and take this flash out after I'm done using it. Unless you set up inside of a studio somewhere and you have the space, it typically makes sense for us to go ahead and do it this way. Take this out, and then I'm going to go ahead and work with this piece. So this bracket just has to be kind of forced out of there. It's just held in there by pressure by pulling up one of the sides, and it'll pop right back out again. Once you get that, you're going to go ahead and take this piece off of it. There we go. Let's see if we can fold this back up one more time. Good practice for us. We get it like that. Here we go. Once we get it folded up, we'll go back into the bag. Perfect. We'll fold this one back up, put it back in the bag also. There we go. It takes a few minutes to do it. It's worth using for those of you who are just intimidated by the whole process and you're thinking, wow, that was incredibly difficult. I don't remember all the steps. Watch this video over again, or even better yet, go find somebody else that shows how to fold those things up. Go find another video that shows the settings maybe in more detail if you have a question on the back of the flash or the back or the trigger. Those things will be able to help you get you where you want to go, and it's important to be able to seek out information because the settings change on the flashes from year to year. The settings change on the triggers, the settings change on the cameras, and there's so many different makes and models that you're going to have to learn to be up to date with your stuff, and the best way to do that is to figure out how to have those research skills to go out there and get the answers that you need to create successful sessions.